we're just going to ignore the books that I've yet to put away from my last book haul. We're ignoring those. You can't see them. You can't see them. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, hi, hello, my name is Katie, and in today's video, I asked on the community post, I was like, okay guys, so I haven't done a reading wrap up in quite some time, and I went and counted how many books I needed to wrap up, and it was like 25, and I was like, do you all want a ultimate biggest reading wrap up ever? Mind you, it's probably going to be a little bit long. And everybody that voted was like, I think there was one that voted no, and everyone else was like voted yes. So y'all, y'all, thank you so much. I love it. No, okay. So it's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do my biggest reading wrap up that I've ever done. Now you're probably wondering, why did you wait so long? That's a good question. So a lot of times I feel like I don't read enough in the month to solidify doing a full reading wrap up at the end of the month. I used to do them every other month, and I guess this time it just kind of got away from me because now we're doing 25 books. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so some books I own still, some I don't. I'm just putting the picture up here because it's a lot easier for me to do it that way. So grab yourself a snack and a drink and join me. I'm going to try to do this in as few sentences as I can for each book, okay? Because we all know that I'm a talker. So we're going to start all the way back with the furthest book and work my way up to the most recent. So the first book on my list here is Even If It Hurts by Marnie Mann. This was not my first book by her, and it won't be my last book by her. So I enjoyed this. It wasn't my favorite that I've read from her, but I still had a good time. So in this book, we're following Chloe, and Chloe is going to study abroad for her last semester of college. She meets this guy named Oliver, and they have this whirlwind romance, but she has to leave at the end of the summer. And so they kind of part ways. And then she goes home, she finds another guy named Lance, and he's great, and they fall in love and they get married. 10 years go by, and the company she works for is like, hey, we have this business opportunity. We need you to go over to, is it Amsterdam? I think it's Amsterdam. And lo and behold, the company that her company wants to kind of get involved with is the company that Oliver works at. So she meets him after all these years. So what's going to happen? I know, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay, so the tropes in this book, it is a love triangle, and there is cheating, and it's angsty. It's not as angsty as I would have liked, but it's angsty enough. So if you do not like love triangles, you do not like cheating, you might want to stay clear of this book because it does have it in there. And there is an HEA for one couple. You don't know, I'm not telling you who that is. That's beside. I'm not telling. Why would I tell you that? But I ended up giving it 3 stars. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't bad either. It was just good. The next book that I read was The Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton. This is a dark mafia romance with some Irish folklore sprinkled in, okay? So in this book, we are following Darby, and Darby comes to Ireland every summer when she was little to visit her grandfather, and her grandfather was always like, you gotta go be looking for the fairies out in the forest, you know? So she goes out and she thinks that she finds this fairy one summer, and it's not really a fairy. It's actually, I think he's 11. Is he 11 years old at the time? And she's 8. So of course she's still believing in all this magic, and she thinks that he's a fairy. And every summer she comes back, he's waiting for her. And then one summer she just doesn't come back, and she doesn't come back for many, many years. And then years later, when her grandfather passes away, she has to go. Is her grandfather or her mother? No, I can't remember. But she makes her way back to Ireland again. And that's when she comes face to face with Kellen, who was the little fairy boy from the beginning of the book. And he's not a fairy. We know that, okay? But he is involved with some things that might not be the best. And she kind of gets mixed in with it. There are trigger warnings for this book, so I will have them listed in the description like I always do. So be forewarned about that. But it is dark, but it's so good. I loved it. It's the first in a series. There is a second one that I have not gotten to yet, but I ended up giving it 4 stars if I didn't say that already. So I did really like it. Okay, the next book that I read was The Silent Waters by Brittany Cherry. This is book 3 in her Elements series. This is by far my favorite book in the series. I loved this book. This cover, when a cover, like, so this specific scene from this cover is in the book. And I just, when you do that, when you hit me like that, yes, you've got me. So in this book, we are following was it Maggie? Maggie. And her father move in with his new love. I guess, I don't know if they're married yet. I don't know if it's her stepmother quite yet. But they move in, and she gets a new stepsister and a new stepbrother. So I think they are married at this point, I think. And the brother has a best friend named Brooks that she just falls in love with. She's like, we're going to get married one day. You know how it is, childhood crushes. You know. So one night she's like, okay, we got to go practice for our wedding. It's our wedding rehearsal. And she's like, come to the forest so we can do. And Brooks is like, I don't want to do this. Because he's 11. He's like, I don't want to do this. And he does not show up. And when Maggie is in the forest, she witnesses something that causes her to go silent. She does not speak anymore after that night of what she witnesses. And Brooks feels very guilty about this. He feels like if I would have been there to protect her, this wouldn't have happened and she would still be talking. So he becomes her best friend. Like oh my gosh, he is so supportive and just takes care of her so much. Because like when that happens, she quits talking to everybody. She quits going to school. She quits everything. And years go by, and him and the brother are in this band, and they kind of get famous. And so they go off to tour and all this. And I think it's 8 years. I'm feeling 8 years go by, and he comes back. And that's kind of when like their love really starts happening. And there's something in the book. So like he takes care of her for a lot of the book, and then something happens with him, and then she has to kind of return that favor and take care of him during it was so good. It was so good. 5 stars. 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So the tropes, of course, is like older brother's best friend, a little bit of rock star, and there is a mute heroine in the book. Okay, the next book was a thriller. So I read Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. I loved this book. This was so good. So in this book, we are following Mallory, and Mallory is a nanny, and she is getting a new job with this family. And the little boy is named Teddy. She loves this job. She thinks it's perfect. It's a perfect job, until Teddy starts drawing some pictures. At first they're just good pictures. They're just like cute pictures. I don't have the book anymore because I got rid of it because I don't keep thrillers. But if I did, I would show you the pictures. But they're cute pictures that like a 6-year-old would draw. And then they become more advanced, and then some start showing some things that a 6-year-old shouldn't be drawing, like depictions of murder. So she's like, what is going on? What is going on? And that's just that's the story. I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to give any spoilers away. I loved this book. What made the book was the eerie pictures that you got to see throughout the whole book. I loved it. I want to read more from him, but I don't know if he has any thrillers out. I think he did more of like a fictional book after this, and it wasn't really thriller-y. But he needs to go back to do like a thriller-y. I think it's supposed to be thriller horror, but I wasn't like scared. But I did quite enjoy myself. 5 stars for that book. Okay. Then I decided to finally dip my toes into QB Tyler, and I read, which one was it first? Love Unexpected. And can I tell you that this was unexpected? I loved this book. I love QB Tyler now. So this one, we are following Stasia and Dominic. And Stasia is Dominic's stepdaughter. Yeah, you heard me. This was my first stepdaddy romance, okay? And her mom passes away. And I can't remember how many, I don't know how long it is until they find solace in each other. That's the basis of that story. This is very forbidden and taboo. There is an age gap, of course, and he's her stepfather. And he's been her stepfather, I think, since like the age of 11. He became the principal at her school when she like fell in love with him, but then also did her mom. And so that's how they met. But yeah, and she's, how old is she? 18? I think she's 18. And he's of course in his 30s, 40s. I can't remember. I didn't care. It was so good. The steaminess, hoochie mama. I just can't. It was so good. 5. No, I did not do 5 stars. I'm lying. It was 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I did have another one that was like my favorite. But it was still good. Maybe I should make it 5 stars because I liked it so much. I should probably do that. Okay, the next book was called Unravel, and this was by Collier Reid. This is book 1 in the Fairfax Institute series. Well, it's not a series, it's a duet. There's only 2. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. So in this book, we are following Naomi, and Naomi was put into this institute because everyone around her thinks that she's losing her mind. She is losing chunks of time, and she is this person, and she's with this guy, and then something happens and she is this person and then she's with this guy. And so we're trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And I don't want to give anything away because I loved the twist. I loved this book. There are triggers in this book, so they'll be listed down below. But I loved it. I loved it, and it sets up book 2 really well. I haven't gone on, but I need to because I just enjoyed the writing. I didn't know what was real and what wasn't. So yes, this is a romance, but it's also more like just like a psychological book as well because I didn't know what was real and what wasn't. And I love those type of books. So if you're a romance girly, but you're also a thriller girly, I really think you would enjoy reading that book as well. And I ended up giving it 5 stars because I loved it. Okay, then I read A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Catherine Moon. What can I say about this book? I don't know. So in this book, we were following Esther, and Esther is, she's very sex positive. She knows what she likes, knows what she wants, and she ends up working at this brothel for monsters. Yep, that's the premise of the book. This is a why choose, so she ends up with, if I can remember, who are they? So we have a Mr. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde character. We have a vampire. We have a sphinx. We have an invisible man. Am I missing one? And a stone man. I can't remember what he was, but he's made of stone. So I just wrote stone man. I can't remember. He's got a name. A Gothel? Oh, it's something that made me think of my precious, but it's not that. He's like made of stone, and he's like ripped. He's made of stone. But it is why choose. So they all, at the end, there's no pick and choose. Everyone just has a nice HEA, and this is a smutty good time. If you're just looking for a paranormal, monster, smutty romance, this is it. What did I give it? I gave it 4 stars. Yes, I did. Because it was a fun time. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Okay, from there, I read Broken Harbor by Catherine Cowles. This is book 3 in the Sparrow Falls series. So in this book, we are following Sutton, who is a single mom who has a little boy who loves hockey. So she gets him into hockey camp because his favorite hockey star is going to be doing the camp, which he does not know yet. His favorite hockey star just happens to be the Reaper, who is Cope. Why do I feel like it's not Cope? No, it is Cope. Copeland, but they call him Cope. And he is the brother of the main characters from the first 2 books. And so he's helping with this hockey camp, and he's just a smitten kitten for her. He is a smitten kitten for her. He researches the right type of child seats for her son. So he can drive him around and he'll be safe. Come on. And then something happens with the place she's living at and she has to move out. So he offers her and her son to come live with him because he's got a big house. And she's like, okay. So it's forced proximity. It's hockey. It's a single mom. There is romantic suspense because this is Catherine Cowles. But I love this book and I gave it 5 stars. This is my favorite in the series so far. Oh, we must be getting to my Christmas books because now I got Christmas books. Okay. We've got Once Upon a Christmas Tree by Lulu Moore. This is a little novella. It's like a prequel novella to a series that she's going to be having come out later in the year. But the couple in this is not the first book in the series. I have to wait. But this is following Alexander, and Alexander's brother was kind of not left at the altar, but he was supposed to get married, and he found his fiance doing something she shouldn't have been doing. So all his brothers are like, hey, let's get you out of the country because they are royalty. So everyone's talking about this. And let's go to the US and let's go skiing at, I can't remember where they're going. Vale? Oh, I don't remember where it is. But they end up going, and he hates Christmas. You know, we have to have a Christmas grump. He hates it because of losing someone very close to him around Christmas, and he feels very guilty about that, so he just hates Christmas. But he's going to meet someone who loves Christmas, who's Little Miss Christmas, in fact, who owns a Christmas tree farm and owns Christmas tree or Christmas store. Yeah, that's Haven. He meets Haven, he falls for Haven, and Haven just kind of helps him realize that Christmas isn't so bad after all. It was just a little quick novella. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I will be continuing, I think, with the series because I liked the writing. So why not, you know? Let's see what else she writes for the other brothers in the book. Okay, then I read Smokey Darling by S.J. Tilley, which is book 1 in the Darling duet. And in this book, we are following Eloise, who, when she's younger, she meets her brother's best friend, Beckett, and she just falls in love. She falls in love. There's an 8-year age gap, so when she first meets him, she's 7 and he's 15. So he has, like, no interest at all. And she just, she loves him. And then as they get older, they still have, like, interactions, but just nothing ever happens. And then she, years later, becomes a teacher, and she is going camping with her students, and the wilderness survivalist man who was there to, like, show them around and how to survive in the wilderness is Beckett. And Beckett's like, oh, she's all grown up now. And he would like her. Yes, he would. And he is not going to stop until he gets her. You know what? I love a man who knows what he wants. So, yeah. I loved this book. Did I give it 5 stars? I did give it 5 stars. I highly enjoyed it. We've got brother's best friend, and we have an age gap. And it's a small town, of course. But those were like the main tropes. Then the next book was another novella, and this is The Christmas List by Maren Moore. This was I'm pretty sure my first Maren Moore book. I highly enjoyed it. I would definitely read more from her. But this is following Wyatt, and Wyatt is a single father. And he has a daughter who's in kindergarten, and he goes to pick her up one day, and the teacher, Josie, just happens to be someone that he remembers from his past. Perhaps the one that got away. Maybe. I'm not saying. And something happens to where the town always does like this Christmas competition, and they have to be in like teams of 3. So the little girl's like, oh my gosh, let's ask Miss Josie to be on our team. And he's like, we can't do that. But secretly he's like, okay, let's do that. So they become a team. There's the forced proximity with that, and they do the Christmas competition, and they just fall in love, and it was very cute, very sweet, just a cute little novella that I gave 4 stars to. Then I read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, and I loved this book. I know some people are like, this book was too long. I don't care. This was all the Christmas feels, all the Grinch vibes, everything that I enjoy. And I loved it. This is by Megan Quinn. And in this book, we are following Story, who is coming to take care of her Aunt Cindy in the town of, what's the town called? I don't think it's called Christmas. Cringleton? Is it Cringleton? I feel like it's Cringleton. And this town loves Christmas. It's my kind of town. And then every single Christmas, they have a competition to see who's the most Cringleton of the Cringletons. And this year she wants to do it because her aunt can't because she's recuperating. And Mr. Cole Black, who is the aunt's neighbor, is like, hold up, this is my town. You can't just come in here, barge in here, because he's already got like some animosity towards her. And he's like, you can't come in here and do that. You can't come in and take the competition from the town. So he competes. So we've got these 2 competing people that have a history, because when she would always visit, they would hang out, but they haven't talked in quite some time. So what's going to happen? I know, but I'm going to let you know. And I will let you know that there is a scene with a candy cane. So if that interests you, by all means, pick up this book. You don't have to read it at Christmas. I did, loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Okay, the next book was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is book 1 in that series. I think this series is called The Naturals, but we are following Cassie in this book, and she is a 17-year-old who gets recruited by the FBI to help with cold cases because growing up, her mother taught her how to read people. So she's really good at like profiling others. And when she gets into this program, she realizes that all the teens have some sort of ability, whether it's like being really good with deception, another profiler, someone who's really good at like statistics and knowing numbers and things like that. So they're helping the FBI with cold cases, but also Cassie, did I call her Cassie or Casey? Now I don't know. She has her own agenda too because her mother was murdered and she kind of wants to figure out what happened there. So it was good. It was a YA thriller. It wasn't like my favorite, but I enjoyed it and I gave it, what did I give it? I gave it 3 stars because again, I think it was more because it was just YA and it's just not my cup of tea anymore, YA, but I still enjoyed it. And from there, we go to Unconditional by QB Tyler. Okay, I loved this book. Is this the book I gave 5 stars to? Yes, it is. Okay, so this one we are I'm like, I love this book, but I can't remember people's names for the life of me. We are following Cal and Maddie. Cal is a cop, and one night he goes to this crime scene and he sees this little girl. I think she's like 7 years old, and the parents are deceased. So he kind of takes her and like is consoling her, and she just kind of bonds with him over that, and he kind of ends up being her guardian and taking her in and raising her. And when she turns 17, she's like, you know what? He is very good looking, and he's like, she is now becoming a woman, and things are gonna happen. Now I know some people are like, she's 17 and he's like 30. I think he's 30 some. I did not care. No, I did not care, and I don't know what that says about me, but I did not care. I loved this book. This is forbidden, taboo, age gap, a guardian romance, and I loved it. 5 stars. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I love this book. I don't know what it says about me, but I loved it. And then we've got Bourbon and Secrets, which is book 2 in the Bourbon Brothers. Is that what it's called? Bourbon Brothers? Box Brothers? Oh, I can't remember. This is by Victoria Wilder. I loved this book as well. I have some bangers. I've read some bangers, you know? I have. So in this book, we are following Lincoln, who is the middle brother. I think he's the middle brother of the 3. And at the beginning of this book, he is married. He has 2 children, and him and his wife just aren't, their marriage isn't where he would like it to be. And he is coming home from a fight that they had, and, you know, he went to cool down, and he sees someone in the field doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and that is our heroine named Faye. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, none of your business. And she kind of, whatever she does, she kind of blackmails him. And he's like, you got to get out of this town. And she's like, well, you know what? It just so happens I was leaving anyway. And he ends up going home after that encounter and finds his wife has passed away. So now he is a single father raising his 2 daughters, and years go by, and Faye has now become a burlesque dancer, but also is also a private investigator, and she's helping the FBI with some cases. And this recent case has brought her back to, what is the name of the town? Fiasco. That's what it's called. Fiasco. And Lincoln's like, hold up, wait a minute. What are you doing back? Like, what are you doing here? I told you never to show your face again. She's like, look, I'm just here to do a little burlesque show because that's her ruse. And she's like, then I'll be out of here. So, of course, she's staying with her estranged sister, who has no idea what she did that night that made her leave town. So she's not a big fan of her. And her sister happens to live beside Lincoln, who just happens to have the 2 daughters, who is fascinated with Faye. And they just, I loved this. Yes, I did. So tropes for this. We've got Small Town. We've got Burlesque Dancer. What else? A Single Dad. Suspense, because all her books are romantic suspense. And there's a little bourbon tasting in this. You know, I loved this book. This was such a good book. Such a good book. Okay, we are getting down. We are getting down. We only have like 10 more. If you're still with me, love you to death. Okay, next book is Look the Part by Julie Ann. This was my first Julie Ann book that I read. This will not be my last. It will not, okay? In this book, we are following Ellen. Ellen is a musical therapist. So, you know, take that. You realize that, okay, she's going to use music as therapy. Okay, well, she rents an office from Flint. Is it Flint? Yes, it is Flint. And he's a lawyer, and he likes his peace and quiet, okay? So when he doesn't do his due diligence when she's like, I'm a music therapist, and he's just thinks, oh, she's a therapist, and no, she plays music, so it's kind of loud. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. You gotta leave. You just gotta go. You can't stay here. But little does he know that his son Harrison is going to fall in love with her. He just absolutely loves her. Harrison has autism, so with her being a musical therapist, she's able to use the music because he's very gifted with the guitar, and that's how they connect. And it is so cute to see their relationship. Harrison loves her so much that he's like, Dad, you can't date her. She's my friend. You can't date her. And of course, Flint is just falling head over heels for her. There's the Look the Part. The name of the book is said a lot in the book, which I love how it's incorporated. So I'm not going to say why, but just know that it's incorporated in the book, and I really enjoyed this. So what did I give this? I gave this book, I don't even know because I didn't put the rating in this. What am I so stupid? 5. I give it 5 stars. I figured I did, but I did not put it in my journal. How stupid am I? Okay, the next book was a thriller, and this is called The First Mistake by Sandy Jones. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't remember much about this book. I know it's a domestic thriller, and we are following, who are we following? Alice, and she is married to Nathan, and she has a best friend named Beth. Beth and Nathan have never met. There's reasons for that, but they've never met, okay? And I remember the end of this, and I remember, like, the premise, but I can't remember a lot from the book, so it's saying something. So, like, I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. It wasn't a favorite. So, like, that's telling you something. Like, I cannot remember a lot from this book. So, like, honestly, it's not something you have to read. I think I had a fine time when I read it, but it was just, I couldn't tell you anything about it now, other than it's a domestic thriller, and not everyone is who they say they are. I'll just say that. I then read Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. This is book 5? 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 5. 5 in the Brutal Birthright series. We are following Riona, and she is the lawyer for her, are they the Italians? Are they the Irish? I think they're the Irish mob. And someone is kind of, coming after her. Yeah. So her brother's like, you need security. You need someone to, be a bodyguard. So enter Raylan. Raylan's our good old cowboy. He's our good old cowboy Raylan. And so he comes, and at first he is like shadowing her. He's like, you're not getting out of my sight. And then stuff happens, and he's like, we got to get you out of town. So he takes her back to his small town ranch, and they stay there on the ranch, and they kind of fall in love. And she is a spitfire. She like knows what she wants. She's independent, and he is a very much like a country boy, like very gentlemanly. So it was very cute. This is a reverse Grumpy Sunshine. I loved this book, and I gave it 5 stars. Did I? No, I didn't. I'm lying. I'm lying. I thought I gave it 5. I gave it 4. Yeah, that probably checks out. Because it's not it didn't top Brutal. Brutal Prince is still my favorite, but this was good, but it didn't top it. So yeah, 4 checks out. Yeah. Tropes, cowboy, strong heroine, bodyguard, and mafia. Okay. I do own this book. It's somewhere around here, but I'm not going to get it. Next was Fight, and this was by Sloane St. James. This is book 1 in the Sky Ridge Hot Shots. So in this book, we are following Callahan, and he is one of those firefighters that do like the forest fires, and he's like the town playboy, he just kind of mingles with all the little little women in town. And then we are following Prescott, who is new to town. Oh my gosh, I just now remember why she was new to town. It's all coming back to me. As I was writing this in my journal, I totally forgot the premise of this book. It's all coming back to me. She is running from her past, and she's going to be an EMT. So that's kind of how they meet. They meet first at a bar, and then they meet again when they're on scene at a fire. And there's some forced proximity in this book. There is definitely some PTSD in this book. So if that is a trigger, but it does show it. However, there is one scene in this book that just made me laugh uncontrollably, because that is not how you do a grounding technique. If you know, you know. I know Paige knows. That's not how you do a grounding technique. I'm just going to say it from someone who is an expert. That's not how you... But still, I love the book. I just don't do that kind of grounding technique. We don't teach that, okay, in therapy. But I gave it 4 stars. I did. I enjoyed it, and I do want to continue when, I don't know. You know me and going through series. It never works out well. Okay, next book. I then read Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. Okay. This book is a walking trigger warning. But I feel like you have to know. You have to know going in. Okay, so in this book, we are following our main character. What's her name? Adrian. And Adrian's son, Noah, is getting out of treatment for being a predator. He was a swim coach. He's also a teen. He's 17 at the time, I think. And he's been in treatment for, I can't remember how long. And this was so hard to read. I'm not a mother, but if I was, I'm sure this would have been even harder, because we have the dad who wants nothing to do with the son because there's a young daughter in the home. But she loves her brother, and the mom loves her son. So they end up like moving out and living in their own apartment. And it's just watching her struggle with coming to terms of who her son is and what he is, but still loving him and wanting to love him and give him a chance. This book was so good, and there is a twist in this that I did not see coming. It was so good, but it is very triggering, and just know that going in. I did give this 5 stars. I love Lucinda Berry, and I love her writing, but just know this is very triggering. But it's so well written. She was a psychologist before she became a writer, and you can tell it was just so good, but this is triggering. Okay, then we've got a book that my sister chose for me, and this is Imperfect Match. This is by Vicky J. In this book, we are following Charles A. Hawthorne as his assistant. Daisy calls him. The A stands not for his middle name, but for something else. And he is a billionaire. And to kind of get control of this company that he has, he's got to get married. He's got to show he can be a family man. So he's like, I don't really want to marry anybody, but if I had to marry somebody, I would marry Daisy, my assistant, because she has been with him. They get along somewhat. And he's like, that's who I would pick. And she's like, we can't do that. That's insane. We can't do that. And he's like, well, I know that your dad is sick. Her dad does have dementia in this book. And he's like, I can provide you with the best care possible if you would do this for me. And eventually she's like, okay. And dang it, and I don't want to tell my sister, but I did like this book. So my sister does have good taste sometimes, okay? So this is an office romance. It's marriage of convenience, because they both need something out of it. It is, was there anything else? Is there? Yes, there's a surprise baby in this. So I feel like that's a trope. I feel like you need to know. It's not meant to be a spoiler or anything. I feel like it's meant to, you have to know. What did I end up giving it? I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, because there were just times where I was very upset with the with the hero, because he's got some mommy issues, and I'm just like, dear Lord God, just speak, just communicate. But again, that's a lot of premise of the romance books, that they just don't communicate, which that's a me issue. It's not them. It's a me issue. Okay, from there I read Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. This book was good. It was fine. It was good. My thrillers have not been hitting, okay? This is a thriller, and in this book we are following Amy, and Amy's friend Charlotte has a book club, and one night a new member comes, and her name is Rue, and she just kind of uproots everyone's life. She just kind of digs into everyone's life, and it's just uprooting. She's stirring the pot. She's a drama lady, and she's like, you know what, Amy? If you don't give me X amount of money, I'm going to start telling your secrets because I know them. And it just kind of goes from there. There are plot twists with plot twists with plot twists in this book, okay? The plot twists were great. One was not so great. And the trigger warning will be down below because it's not listed in the book at all, which I think it should have been. I'm just saying. What did I end up giving it? I did give it 3 stars. Like I said, it was good. Wasn't great. Wasn't fantastic. It wasn't bad. It was just good. Oh, we're on to the last book, y'all. We're on to the last book. We're here. We made it. Okay, the last book that I read was called Rushed by Aurora Rose Reynolds. This is book 1 in the Adventure Life series. No, is it Adventures? Adventures in Love series. My bad. In this book, we are following Sybil, and I just can't get with Sybil. I can't get with Sybil's name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Makes me think of the movie. Okay, I just can't. And Sybil is newly single because her ex broke up with her. It wasn't even an ex, it was like a fiance, and he broke up with her. And before they broke up, they had decided to go on this retreat, this couples retreat, to kind of help their relationship. Well, he's not going, but you know what? She's still going to go and enjoy herself. Okay, girl, you do you. So she goes to this small town the night before, and she goes to this bar, and she's going to be pulling into the parking spot, and someone whips in. Some dude in a big truck. And she's like, even though he's cute, she's like, and then she goes into the bar, and she's waiting to be seated. And of course the maitre d' who's there sees the guy behind her, and she's like, here you go, Tanner. And so it kind of bypasses the girl, and she's like, oh my gosh. So then she walks over to the bar, and she's like, I'll just sit here. And then of course Tanner comes over, and starts talking to the bartender, and she's like, oh my gosh, this dude, what is wrong with this dude? And then finally he talks to her, and because she like mumbles under her breath, and they have this conversation, and they go their separate ways. Well, she goes to the retreat the next morning, and guess who is one of the retreat owners? That's right, it was Tanner. And since she is lonely, she's alone. Well, she's probably lonely. She is alone. She does not have a partner. Because who has to be her partner for the retreat? Yes, that's right, Tanner. So they have to share a tent. And they have to share other things. And they do. I loved this book. I thought it was good. There is a caretaking scene because she does get hurt when they're out, doing this camping wilderness thing. And it is a little insta-likey. I will say it's very, very short on like the dislike to like to love, because it's like, I don't like you, and then like a couple days later, yes I do. So it is very insta-likey, except for that little tidbit at the beginning at the bar. But I liked it. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I liked the side characters. He's got 2 friends who own the company with him, and they're going to have their own books. And I own them, and they're short books. They're like under 300 pages. So like, that's my cup of tea. I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was a fun time. There we go. There's all 25 books. I got to get out of here. How long have I been speaking for? You've got to be out of your freaking mind. It's just 40 minutes. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. But if you stuck this long with me, thank you so much. You are the real... You deserve the clap, not me. If you have read any of these books down below, let me know. Or if any of them sound interesting and you want to give them a try, let me know. Or if you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me an outdoor emoji. Anything that has to do with the outdoors, because that was the last book that I talked about. If you are new here and enjoyed this video and want to see more content from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up because it does help the video reach more people. My social media is linked down below, my Instagram and my Goodreads, if you want to follow me over there and become friends on Goodreads and we can share what we're reading with each other. But I hope you guys are all having a great day or evening, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.